Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to all my friends on the wobbly Earth ship. Welcome to my Alchemy podcast, where if you're tired of not being in charge of your life, you're welcome here each Sunday as we dive into how to become the Master Alchemist. I'm Cindy Carter. I'm an intuitive, an artist, an energy healer, and a spirit consultant. This series of Alchemy podcasts that I put on each Sunday is just a place to come if you're really interested in self-awareness, if you're interested in self-responsibility beyond any New Age concepts, if you'd like to have clear and concise information to build on each week. Just go back into the former podcasts, last week's podcast. There's about 32 of them now. Just dive into them and you'll start feeling more control for yourself. You'll start seeing how you can become more responsible. So last podcast was about responsibility. It was called Responsibility in the Discord. It was about how we're able to take full responsibility for our ancient life, our ancient wisdom that we hold. That you can choose to be respectful to the cumulative sum of yourself by being the responsible party if you happen to find yourself in heightened discord. Instead of being pulled into it, you stay strong and you don't accept abuse from others. You stand up and speak your truth with compassion. And we'll be seeing more discord, I believe, with all this governmental and societal discord. We're seeing personal and emotional and mental discord. It's up to you to be the one to choose how you'll activate your divinity, even in a discordant situation. It takes responsibility of all the lives that you've ever led, not just this one. So this brings me to today's topic. No more victims. This topic could go in any direction. I swear I could use it with all the clients I've seen lately that are claiming to be the victims of psychic attacks, the victims of CIA abuse, the victims of extraterrestrial abuse, the victims of other people, other factions, other energy. And it takes a lot of energy for me to explain to each one of them how they can choose to look at their life in a different way. It's quite an often a big move for someone to move into clarity when they are so traumatized. So this podcast is about how to possibly not become the victim anymore. You see, when we choose to engage in life with the responsibility of our spirit that inhabits our body, it's to remember that you are also source consciousness. You're the cumulative sum of all the ancient wisdom and all the ancient creation, all the wonder and beauty in a body. You come into this foundation of strength in a body, of knowing that you're capable. Along the line, you forget it. So now that you're free to make choices that do not go with the norm, this is sovereignty. This is how to become not a victim. So that you can, be able to see that you have a role here. You have a stability here. It's already within you. You just haven't accessed it. You haven't activated it. This divinity within you, the God source within you, it's the witness of yourself in form. It's why you came to an earth ship, version 5.0. To know that you never die, that your spirit never dies, it becomes impossible to wade into victim consciousness when you remember that. And when you hold that as a responsibility for your spirit. When you actively engage your daily activities to know your spirit. Or are you distracted by the Matrix? Distracted by the craziness on television? Or that you even have a television? There are choices that you could do to engage and ask your spirit to accept a new idea, a new way of seeing victim status. You see, we've all been brainwashed, let's say, away from our divine nature and into some kind of a trance. It doesn't allow us to see our way out of the matrix or the game or the soup or whatever you want to call it. The constructs, the ideas, the quantum entanglements. But when we take responsibility for all the portions of our life and not be dependent on others or other people's constructs or other ideas or consciousness or factions of life, this is what a sovereign spirit would be like. Able to confront its own fears, able to calm its own mind, able to open its own heart to its own wisdom, and being able to allow a world to be witnessed beyond your five senses. There is a truth beyond what you know and see. When you start taking responsibility for all the portions of your life, not dependent on the others or the other constructs, this is when you are able to confront your fears. It can be a stretch, though, to confront your fears. Especially for those who have endured great suffering. But I believe that our past life ingredients, all the times that you endured the same suffering over and over and over from life to life, repeating the things that really no one should ever have to repeat. And then all of a sudden, they serve no one. This repetitive process serves no one. Except who? The abuser. But also the victim. It's serving you to stay in victim consciousness, to not activate the power within you. There is usually secondary gain. Victim status allows you not to gain your power. Not to activate your truth, because if you activate your truth, you might be cut down by others. If you activate your truth, you might be killed by another. If you activate your truth, you might not be loved or accepted. See, there's secondary gain to this victim consciousness. It's often a duality in everyone's mind. So let's say you came into a life in this body that had lifetimes of strife and negative belief patterns of life, say depression and negativity that overtook the body and the mind, and it becomes like your reason, It could become your reason to get out, the reason to, see beyond yourself, to fully see yourself. Whoa, to see your depression, to see your negativity through the eyes of a beyond the five senses, to see that the many lives that accumulated up, right into your body is gifting you this opportunity. Maybe all the suffering is bringing you opportunity. Well, some people are going to go, well, why would suffering bring you opportunity? Well, let's just say that it did. Because I can say that it did. I can say that my suffering has brought me opportunity. I certainly can say that on hindsight. And it's been so many hindsights now that I have a complete knowing of this. That my suffering, my repetitive suffering in my life, I'm talking personally here, has opened up opportunities for me to awaken in one lifetime where it might have taken 10. So I'm pretty happy about it. So I've decided I'm not having any more of the suffering. So when bad stuff happens to me, I'm not the victim of it. I'm not going to blame anyone for it either. I don't care what happens. I'll see my opportunity in it. Not all opportunities are negative. An opportunity to see through the trance, to see through the mistaken thoughts, to see through the degradation of your emotional field, to see that none of this is truly you. At some point in your life cycle, you'll have an opportunity to awaken to this gift of clarity. And it often comes at the hands of suffering. This opportunity, suffering, financially, mentally, emotionally, by your own hands or by the circumstances of another, or things that were beyond your control. They could be looked at as huge plot twists. Like you're reading a book, it's, oh my God, plot twist. Or a movie that goes crazy, you're like, whoa, that's crazy. Yeah, well, that's how life is. You're not the victim of it. So say it was like financial ruin, possibly at the hands of another person. Well, now this could be suffering. You could be the victim of it, or it could be the opportunity for you to see another way. Now, I'm not saying that there are no victims and that there should be no victim status. It would be nice to have no victim status. We are in a duality world. What I'm saying is, to be more comfortable on an earth, it's almost cruel to yourself and very unkind to assume that strife is necessary. To assume that suffering goes along with the package. I'm just saying that the sum of souls within your body gets to make choices. Unconscious and conscious choices to bring opportunities of awareness, and sometimes they come as understandings of opportunity. This time of awareness is the opportunity to step out of the repetitive cycle of victim roles and victim status. Victim consciousness has become rampant on our earth as the abuse continues, because it is a repetitive cycle. Until you stop it, one by one, until humanity sees itself. As the victim becomes the abuser over and over, when they can't see the opportunity. So I'm asking you to see the opportunity. We don't want abuse to become more abuse on this earth. We want it to end. Until each of us awakens into our own time, in our own light, to see ourselves fully and say, I've had enough. There must be another way. There must be lifetimes within me of being lesser than. There must be lifetimes of being the victim of my surroundings. There must be lifetimes of being the victim of my ancestral past. And I am got to have within me the victim of myself at the hands of another person. In this life and other lives. So now knowing this, can I forgive myself for accepting it as a perception? As a controlled status of repetitive trauma? Forgiveness of myself, to overtake my thoughts into alchemy, into consciousness, into compassion. When we accept that we love ourselves, even if we have been the victim, even if we've stood in our own way and not gone after our own goals or our own creations or our own beauty, to accept the love of ourself, not just the Billy Bob self, but the deeper, more ancient versions of yourself that you know are there. I'm asking you to muster the strength of those etheric absolutes that hold no conversion towards death and destruction. You see, there are life in all expressions, if you choose them, through compassion and forgiveness of all the choices to be the victim and to see through the victim's eyes. to hold compassion for yourself can become easier and easier. Easier than blaming another person. Easier than blaming a system or a business or an Illuminati or a Black Hawk helicopter or a hate-filled extraterrestrial. Or instead of blame, we can offer a way out of victim consciousness by offering yourself a doorway out of this repeating swirl of mistaken entry into a game you didn't sign up for. Or did you? A lot of people say they have missions. I don't particularly care for that because I've had thousands of lives. How many missions am I going to hold in this life? There's really only one. Life. Love, peace, happiness, harmony, joy. So here you are. Sign up here. Sign up for clarity. Where's that line? There's no line. You don't have to wait. You don't have to wait for the circumstances to change. By being responsible instead of making others responsible. Don't wait for this world to change because it's going to be wonky for a while. There's a lot of consciousness to get through, but one by one, we can remember that we have a higher self and that it's incorporated in the cumulative sum of souls that lives within you. This heart-based, loving, kind energy of wisdom. It looks out for the energy known as you, and it accepts your ideas one way or another. So you got to be the direct one, to direct yourself away from victim consciousness. If you're being attacked by another person, either psychically or physically, or if they are using, energy devices against you, or if they're putting curses or black magic or having ceremonies with hate involved, whatever flavor of antiquated ancestral mental miasms they'd like to perform, do you have to allow it to affect you? I think not. Once you have released out of your body the victim status, the victim controls, and you allow your higher self to take on a little more time in your body, you might have a new thought pattern. Have you ever thought that you could even be that strong as it not to affect you? This ultimate divinity within you, it's bound in a celestial knowing and an earthly presence. It has enough conductivity to wipe out any negative thoughts, negative ideas, or thought forms. Yet how does it affect you continually? By your choices, lifetime after lifetime. I know that inside our bodies we hold cellular memory of the ages. Well, some of it is strife, suffering, victim status, negative traits. Epigenetics is there, and we need to release it from our body and our mind so we don't become the sponge of these outside occurring instances that can allow you to become the victim, to perpetuate the cycle. So let's release the victim status within us and as a focus, as a primary motion, not to attack the attacker, not to continually bring your focus and your attention to the person that does that to you. This is the responsibility part of controlling where your mind goes. Are you fishing into the dimensions to see who's there to harm you? Are you bringing it within? You can't fall back into this fascination part, of preoccupation part, or overcompensating and downright just having your energy sucked away by the whole idea of being attacked. This becomes people's whole life, whole focus. And then it just perpetuates. It gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. Because you never let it go. You never stopped being the victim for a day, an hour, a month, a year. Try it. Take back the reins. Keep your own energy. Release what's not yours and be the compassion that you know you are. You could dare to step into the eyes and the ways of your elder consciousness, of your wisdom-filled awareness. Yes, even if it disrupts the PTA meeting. Even if the family get-together is no longer yours to attend. Keep your energy. This is compassion. To hold oneself in the highest regard. This is about alchemy, remember? You might think you have no answers, but your heart knows the answers. Your mind doesn't. Your heart can interpret the truth and lead you to creation of a new way of being, a new way of vibrating, out of victim consciousness. Now, this doesn't mean that negative things may not happen to you. That's not what I'm saying. What it means is your consciousness won't allow you to see it in a negative light. Opportunity can be made from suffering. You remember, plot twist. Oops, not like you thought it would be. Who cares? Change your perception. Take back the reins of your life. Don't allow other people to control how you live your life. Don't allow your own repetitive mind to control how you live your life. If you're stuck, unstick yourself. Responsibility is going to be needed in the coming years. And the fewer victims and the more liberation beyond what the Matrix throws at you and the trance you walk in by playing the division game, the hurt by another game. Let them have their ceremonies. Let them throw their hatred towards you. You don't have to accept it. You can just be oblivious. It's the best pattern, really. Are you the sponge to the environment, or are you the reflector of the divine light, of this knowing, of this God source? It's a choice. That's the choice. Sponge or reflector. There's a lot of hatred on a lot of archon streams. Does it mean that it's the reality? It is a reality, but is it your truth? No. Choose it not to be part of your matrix. You could have a definite choice to remain in a pattern of life, of cellular proliferation, of the life force that you were gifted, as the walking divinity that you are. I hope that you'll all offer yourself the opportunity to stand up and stop playing into the mind manipulation called victim status. It's simply a perception of living, or non-living. Victim consciousness is a false belief on this earth. How many lifetimes have you perpetuated this false belief? How many lifetimes did you miss the opportunity? As long as there is discord on this earth, do you dare to have a new perspective? Do you dare to offer yourself compassion? Can you forgive your past and move on anew? By not being the victim? By being responsible for your emotions, your mind, your finances, your status, your mental status? Activate your heart space and welcome yourself home to a place where you're to feel the worthiness of life and the life force of the creative self, where it's displayed in your thoughts and your compassionate actions from your heart. To activate your heart space is a great idea. And the great idea is to no longer be a victim of life. I have something like an activation that could accelerate your power center. And this allowance and trust that you need in the universe to not be the victim any longer. It's called the Template of Grace. It's an 11-day meditation that comes as an activation. It's an alchemy process of 11 MP3 downloads, short meditations with singing bowls in the background. Very soothing, but very powerful after 11 days. It's really bound to align you with your non-victim status if you choose. I also have a free ebook that talks about the empowerment of the knowing of the wisdom of you. It's like a handbook, a compilation of channelings from my higher self on how I guided myself to awareness. It's called Solene, the Ancient One. It's on my website as a free download ebook. And I will be announcing some dates for upcoming workshops. I'll be teaching a 2-day workshop called Holographic Healing 1. It's a modality of energy healing that's very powerful and utilizes levels of compassion in the releasement of energies to realign the body and the mind into harmony. It's going to be a really fun class. We'll learn a lot, and it's for beginners and very seasoned energy healers of all modalities. It really is the missing link for healing, I believe. I look forward to meeting some of you in some of these workshops. I'm also starting a mentor program where I will do a group mentorship program with 5 people, 5 lucky people who would like to be involved with me a little more fully. People have been asking that, how they can get more involved with me. So I'm doing a 3-month commitment. You can find it on my website. I can do it as a one-on-one for 3 months commitment or a group activity. We'll have emails, unlimited emails to and from me, if they're not too long, of course, or not too abusive of my time. Of course, that's compassion. And I'll also be offering free podcasts as well as live webinars with each person. So I look forward to having more interactions of a compassionate nature where we can talk about the ideas of bringing yourself back into alchemy. So in the kindness of compassion and the understanding of cosmic nature, I wish upon you a grand awakening to no longer allowing yourself or another human to take advantage of your being. Take back your power today through compassion. Many blessings.